this passage, Autoclius is saying, "Give the boy the name I tell you now, just as I come from afar, creating pain for many." And then later he talks about the son of pain, a name he'll earn in full. So I think it's interesting that Homer decided to talk about pain twice, because I feel like there's two different separate issues. Is where Autoclius is, I don't know how you pronounce his name, Autoclius, I'm going to say Autoclicus, whatever his name is. So, I feel like in Autoclicus was saying that, by creating pain for many, it's clear that he is the one that's creating pain more physically, and he's been going through more physical issues, where I think by saying the son of pain for Odysseus, and having, Odysseus italicized and everything, it seems to have more of an emotional effect because of the fact that he then talks about the good green earth, and that's kind of talking about the people and the goodness that are in people on the earth. So by saying, the son of pain, I think he's more talking about how he's endured a lot of emotional pain, and kind of like what Jordan was saying is how he's had a lot of more emotional pain for everyone else too.
So there's a part in chapter 16 where Odysseus meets Telemachus. And it says right here in this passage on page 344, and it's line 210, it says, "No, I'm not a god. The long-enduring great Odysseus returned. Why confuse me with one who never dies? No, I am your father, the Odysseus who you wept for all your days. You bore a world of pain, the cruel abuse of men. World of pain for Telemachus." And it's always shown throughout the story, especially in the beginning, where he's talking about the Iliad, where Telemachus always take on traits of Odysseus and always act like Odysseus, and everyone always compare him, "Hey, you're just like your father." And right here it says world of pain. I think that he's enduring to become the next son of pain.
Okay, I agree with you in the fact that he is... Okay, I agree with you in the fact that he's compared to Odysseus a lot, but throughout reading this book, they're, again, extremely different people. Though he may have some similar characteristics, I think the pain that Odysseus goes through and the pain that Telemachus goes through are two completely different things.
As is the pain that Odysseus went through, and Odysseus, the guy who named Odysseus, two very different types of pain.
Right.
So
and I think by the way of doing this is they're showing the different levels of pain throughout this family. This family is just a very painful family, a very painful experience for the family is what I was trying to... Okay. That was Kelsey.
When I read this part that we're talking about, I was a little confused as to why he was the son of pain, not the king of pain or the father of pain or something.
Oh. Who he was.
Okay, I think it might be because in the Greeks, a lot of, even in the Roman times, the Romans kind of took this after them, a lot of principles or ideas or feelings they viewed kind of as people, like Dawn, she was a person. And so I think they might have thought that pain was kind of like a higher being, like Death, he was a person, his name was Thanatos or whatever. Yeah, that. And I think it might have been because he was higher being, so it's kind of he's gifting his curse to Odysseus as a father-son kind of relationship. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with Gabby. I feel like it's to show that the pain is over him, and it's harming him instead of him harming the pain. And I also wanted to point out that in the beginning, the first page of the book, it says many things he suffered, so it's the whole thing throughout the book is that Odysseus had a pain form of life.
Oh, wow. I like good reference.
Oh, okay. Wait, are you going?
No.
Okay. I like what Brent said about how he endures the pain instead of giving to the pain, because I think that's true. Because how it started with the pain and then the camera's reading me off. And then and then throughout it's pain for him. I think his whole life is pain, what Gabby said, how he is the person of pain.
Personification of pain.
Yeah.
Wait, so I was just wondering from that thought, do you think that about him enduring pain, he does fight back and he does respond to it. So it's not like he's totally just like submitting to this pain. He's also like reacting to it.
I think he's
Like-
becoming the pain.
But I think about the son of pain. I think about like he takes the pain, like he takes like what he has, and then he works with that. And I think that's what pushes him to do something better. Like when he was at Calypso's Island and he was in a lot of pain, and I think that pushed him to go home. So.
Son of Pain isn't his only nickname. He also has Master of Cunning, Master of
Well, right now we're talking about the son of pain.
Improvisation, so it's like you can't just attribute him being clever to his being the Son of Pain.
I agree with Jack because Odysseus has been named many things throughout the entire book. He's been the amazing Odysseus, the one who cried on the beach. He's been triumphant. He's been tired. He's been sad. He can't just be one thing. So
I just
Hi.
looked something up, and I was thinking, Conrad said that there was like, wasn't it 5 types of love that the Greeks believed in? I just looked up, sorry. I just looked up if the Greeks had different types of pain, and it turns out that they did. And so, Lupe was pain, body or mind, grief, and distress. And I feel like that could be maybe Odysseus' kind of pain. And then the next one is really interesting. It's called, I think, Amia. And it's grief, sorrow, distress, and trouble, which is really similar to what Penelope is going through. And then the last one is Ankos, and it's pain, body or mind, grief, and distress, which could be really similar to Telemachus. So.
Wow.
So what word were you using when you wrote the book?
So I'm gonna like kind of go off of Jordan's theory about like if he's becoming the pain. So like my question is, when he gets home, like if he's becoming the pain and stuff, and when he gets home, he's obviously still gonna feel the pain from all his like past like I don't want to call them like adventures, but like all the tasks that he had to go through before he got home. When he gets home and when he kills all the suitors, that pain's still gonna be with him. So is he really gonna be like completely happy and completely just like free of it when he goes home and he's with Penelope at the end?
Yes.
Okay, so
Why?
Because he's okay. I know killing the suitors it sounds so terrible, but they came into his home and tried to marry his wife and tried to kill his son. And I'm pretty sure if I were gone for 20 years, though it's understandable, I'd be extremely mad. I would kill everyone. And
No, that's not my question. What? No, that can't.
we've actually been talking about it for 15.
Started at the 2. Maybe we should.
Well, then
Next
something's wrong with his
conversation.
camera.
Actually, you took 2 videos, that's why.
No, I just added both of them.
So we're going to move on to the question in chapter 20 where it says, why does Penelope want Artemis to kill her, but she still believes that Odysseus is coming home?
Because she's a...
Someone else.
So,
Okay. Well, I think that she wants Artemis to give her like a swift death, and does she really believe that Odysseus is coming home? Because over and over and over she says like whenever someone tells her like Odysseus is coming home, she's like if only like she doesn't really like submit and say that she actually believes that Odysseus is coming home, and I just think that she wants to get out of this like grief that she's in by Artemis killing her because she doesn't have like what Odysseus' mom had in terms of like the suicide and stuff. So I just think that she just wants to get out of this horrible situation that she's in. And I don't necessarily believe that she really does think in this context that Odysseus actually is coming home.
I'm going to disagree with that
I'm going to also disagree with that.
by saying that people with immense grief and immense sorrow will say and do things that they do not mean and that they don't actually want to do. They're just so grief-ridden and so messed up in the head that they'll say things they don't mean, that they won't think about it. And they'll say, oh, kill me now. I don't want to be here anymore.
Another thing that it might be is I'm just gonna like relate this to like depression. a lot of depressed people, there might be something else going on with Penelope, because I think after so long of being so grief-ridden and like Jack said,
She's definitely depressed.
yeah, she's like clinically, like medically, mentally depressed, and I think that might be having some effect on the way she does things, because you know when she saw Odysseus, she kind of like freaked out, she was like in shock, and she was just like, what, I don't believe you.
Find something, can you find a line that
Oh,
It's like the entire
We've
book.
been discussing this thing.
yeah, this is like in
Penelope.
the book. But no, I was just gonna relate it. Like a lot of people, when they're depressed, you know, like suicide is another thing that can come when you're depressed without it going on long enough. And I think that she wouldn't commit suicide because she just had too many things. But she didn't want to. I don't think she wanted to live anymore.
Okay, I agree with Jack and Gabby, but I wanted to focus on the second part of what you said. About how she's constantly being told, like, Odysseus is going to come home, and how she's so distraught, like, she just says, no, he's not, he's never coming home. And about her, like, believing whether or not Odysseus is coming home, I think that she puts herself in this trance. Like, though I think it's a love story, granted, I also think that she does like the gifts from the suitors, and I think... I almost think that she's afraid of Odysseus coming home for some reason. Like, I feel like she's going to think he's changed so much, it's not going to be the same person. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm getting from this part.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. Like, she thinks that he's gonna be like a different person, but I just like, I'm not really sure. I just think that like when you guys are talking about like being depressed and stuff, like I don't know how many of you guys have actually dealt with like depression, but it's way different than what you would think. There's like different stages, and I don't know. It's a whole different thing, and I think she just is really having trouble with like what's going on in her mind, and she's not saying she's gonna commit suicide. She just wants to not be here anymore. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with Natalie. I think she just wants her problems to go away.
Yeah, I agree with Brennan and Natalie, because if she's probably has a mindset that if my husband isn't coming back, like after 20 years, she must be like really upset about that. And if she's thinking like, oh, my husband isn't coming back, what's there to live for? Then she's saying these things and like thinking these thoughts, but she might not actually mean it just because she's in a bad state.
I think when like I'm gonna go back with Gabby, how I'm agreeing with her, and I like what Abby just said, but how Gabby said she like it's not that she like actually wants to die, but it's the fact that she doesn't want to go through that anymore. Like go through like the pain of the suitors and the pain of not having Odysseus.
Question, when does she cross the line of hope and despair? So what you're describing possibly is despair. So at what point does that 1/25th person saying to her that she says, I'm done hoping?
Oh wait, that's this.
There is a line on page 400 in chapter 19, and Odysseus is talking. And so the man is safe, as you can see, and he's coming home soon. He's close at hand. He won't be severed long from kin and country. No, not now. I give you my solemn binding oath. I swear by Zeus, the first greatest god, by Odysseus' heart, where I have come for help. All will come to pass, I swear, exactly as I say, true this very month, just as the old moon dies, and the new moon rises into its light. Odysseus will return, and then Penelope replies with exactly what Natalie said. If only, my friend, reserved Penelope exclaimed, everything you say would come to pass. Like, she is hoping, like, she still has that hope, but she's starting to doubt it now, and that's why she wants to end it. She's saying, oh, my life's not filled with any happiness. I miss my husband. He's not coming home. People keep on telling me he's coming, yet he hasn't yet. And so she's not doing it.
Wait, I thought that she was turning more, like, positive from that line, because throughout the book, she's like, he's never coming home, let me go lay in my bed and cry, but I think that this is where she starts to get more positive. Like, she's absolutely believing for the past few chapters that her husband is dead and gone. But now I feel like once there's one person that she can trust, I do feel as though she changed her mind to the sense that she does have a slight sliver of hope for her husband coming home.
I'm going to disagree with Kelsey because right after Patrick didn't read this part, it's like 3 lines after, it says, but my heart can sense the way it all will go. Odysseus, I tell you, is never coming home, nor will you ever gain your passage home. For we have no masters in our house like him at welcoming in or sending off an honored guest. So she flat out says in this line, he's not coming home. So I don't think that's showing any more hope than she already
Plus,
had.
you have to remember, she's talking to a guest here. She's not going to say, oh no, you're lying, it's not true, he's never going to come home. She wouldn't say that, that'd be rude. Says that to a guest telling you a story.
Also, if she still did have hope for Odysseus coming home, why would she ask Artemis to kill her right there? That really doesn't make sense.
Okay, wait, I had something far from that, but like, okay, she says there was a man, or was he all a dream? That was kind of weird because,
Just repeats that line, by the way.
yeah, and I noticed that. So why is Odysseus referred to as, like, if he was a man, or was he all a dream? Like, that's what I was really confused on, because if, I don't know, the way that they take this line.
Well, I mean, if you think of it, they couldn't have been married for very long at all. They were probably married for 2-3 years before they took off. They probably got married at 13, or no, 13, 14. Actually, yeah, probably.
Well, I remember in this society, they're promised at a very young age. So
Yeah, she was probably like
they're
13.
promised,
He was probably 20.
the vows.
I don't think it would be 20. Maybe it'd be older than
Maybe.
17.
Yeah.
I think that like with what Kelsey's saying, with or there was a man or was he all a dream? I feel like by saying that like that, it's coming from the point of view from Penelope, and by saying that there was a man, there was a man that was supposed to be coming home. But the fact is that he's been gone for 20 years or whatever the time was, and he's been gone for so long that this whole thing has turned into a complete story that they don't even know really if he is ever going to come home, where he is, what he's doing, who he's been with, any of the things, what he's been doing, or if what they've been imagining of the fact that he wasn't, or if he is coming home, or what they've been imagining and hoping is that it might not happen, because there is a man, and this man can have several troubles along the time of 20 years, and he's out at sea and was out at war, and there's a lot of troubles that can come, and so having a man come home can also be there. I feel like Penelope's kind of questioning the fact that if he really is going to return in this context, because like I think Natalie was talking about it, how in this context, like we don't know if she does, or I don't know, was that a Gabby or Natalie? I can't remember. And they were talking about like how in the context of like if she wanted to die in this exact moment. But I feel like in this later, I think it was kind of like this in the moment of the sorrow, like she got mixed up, but not mixed up, but like confused by what she wanted to do. But then by saying that there was a man or was he all a dream, like she really doesn't know if he is ever going to come home or what that dream is that might even happen.
He's not going to count it. He's not going to count it. He's not going to count it.
I think.
Thank you.
I agree with.
And you have to avoid this corner. That corner's by the
Okay, first off, that's not the censor. That's the censor.
The censor is in the center.
I agree.
There's
That's
also
just
one
the-
over there.
That's just the alarm.
There's also
That's
one
the
over there.
speaker.
Yeah, that's just an if you run and touch those two, and you run.
Okay, let's return it.
I agree with what Alston just said, how she was confused at what was happening and like he's been gone for so long. And I also think back to for the evidence, the part where she it says on line 68 on page 412, he says, when the queen had wept to her heart's content, she prayed to the huntress Artemis, or Artemis, or whatever. Artemis. Artemis. I think it's like to her heart's content. That's like when she's like had enough and she just wants to let go, but like she can't. And that's why she said she wants Artemis or Artemis to tear her life out, and that's what I think is happening.
Okay, so we're going to go to the next question, which is on page 421. And the question is, why does Athena make the suitors burst into hysterical laughter?
Well, I was thinking like there's kind of two reasons. One is to make them, like, maybe she's trying to make them look worse to Telemachus and the family than they are. Not saying that they're not already bad, but making them worse doesn't, you know, it makes it easier to kill them. And also, if you read it, you notice that they're seeing a lot of stuff. So maybe she's trying to creep them out, but they're like going, like, it's kind of like they're in this drug haze thing. Or like they're drunk, because there's like blood on the walls, they're like laughing, it feels like a raid.
You know what that is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, your point is well taken because what we're talking about is a frenzy. It's a frenzy. So Telemachus is killing. He was in a frenzy. Like someone was, you know, he was jumping, killing.
It's not happening yet.
So yes, that's an adrenaline high. Yes, yes, you're talking about all of that. Exactly.
So I'm going to read the passage right now. It's on line 385. So he vowed, and Athena set off uncontrollable laughter in the suitors, praised them out of their minds. Mad hysterical laughter seemed to break from the jaws of strangers, not their own. And the meat they were eating oozed red with blood, tears flooded their eyes, hearts possessed with grief. The inspired seer Theoclymenus wailed out in their midst, "Poor men, what terror is this that overwhelms you so? Night shrouds your heads, your faces, down to your knees. Cries of mourning are bursting into fire, cheeks rivering tears, the walls and the handsome crossbeams dripping dank with blood. Ghosts look, thronging the entrance, thronging the court, go trooping down to the world of death and darkness. The sun is blotted out of the sky. Look there, the lethal mist spreads all across the earth."
So the two questions we have right there, why is the blood running from the walls, like why is that significant, and those two, the hysterical laughter one, those two are kind of together, so you guys can talk about what you feel just about any.
Okay, so the blood on the walls is significant because this is like right before he kills all the suitors, like comes like pretty close before he kills all the suitors. And so when the blood's on the wall, when they're like laughing, and like laughing signifies like happiness, and then like the blood's on the wall like later when all of them are dead, and it's like sadness because of death, but not sad for Odysseus. Not just like sad for their families. I don't want Jack to correct me on that. But but I can't find it in like the other sections later in the book. But I know there's a part that like says like walls with blood that like describes the walls having blood on them.
Okay, so I disagree with what you said about the laughter representing happiness. Because it doesn't. The blood like oozing from the walls and their food is something that's horrifying.
I don't know, it seems like a good time to me.
You have some messed up good times. All right, so that is something that's messed up and horrifying. And then they can't do anything about it because they're laughing uncontrollably. I think that this is like their like final warning that something horrible is going to happen to you, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. Blood is going to be oozing from you, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it because you're going to die.
I agree with that, but it's also like, I don't know where I heard this, but don't judge me, anyone. But there's this like thing that's like, laughing is a smile that bursts, and like smile is happiness, so therefore laughing is happiness. So
what?
Or you could put that out there.
I don't think Homer was reading
Whatever.
the text. The text says that they're mad, like they're mad and they're crazy. And they're
Okay.
eating crazy laughter.
Wait. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of confusing with that word mad, because it kind of, I was thinking about laughter, and then I was like, mad laughter, and then I just got this like vision of their eyes like really big and just like their mouths moving, like just their mouth laughing. But you know what I didn't understand? How the suitors didn't look at each other and think that there was something wrong. Like, they're just laughing, and I mean, like, why don't...
When they, it says in the next, at the very end of the paragraph, it says that when they notice that there's blood running all from the walls, their faces just turn pale, and they realize something bad.
Yeah, okay. And then why don't they know? Why are they like laughing, like hysterically mad? And they're like,
Athena made them do it.
exactly. But why did they look at each other
They
and
can't stop.
right? And then when the blood is pouring from the walls, why don't they think a god is around them? Why do they just think that's normal? Like the walls are bleeding. What is wrong with you?
Well, they're freaked out. But they can't say anything because they're
I'm
like,
just gonna say this.
Conrad.
First up, I'm gonna make a reference to Batman right now.
Yeah.
Let's think about the Joker for a second.
Okay, but Homer was not thinking about Batman. I promise you.
Okay. You promise me you weren't thinking about the Joker and his laughing gas?
Homer wasn't thinking about Batman when he was writing the Odyssey.
Homer wasn't, but I'm thinking about Batman and the Joker right now. So I'm thinking that the laughing gas is probably like, this laughter is a lot like Joker's laughing gas. You know, you're not really in your state of mind anymore, and you're kind of going creepily, going, you're kind of freaking out. You're not exactly in the best situation, and I think they're also freaking out, as you can tell. So I don't. This is kind of an argument against. This is not happy laughter. This is creeped out laughter. You know, this psychotic laughter. There's all these different kinds of laughs. There's not always happy laughs, like la 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 ha ha ha. There's also.
I wasn't happy either.
You think you're better at the second one?
Well, okay, as much as I love Batman, I also feel like it's a little bit more X-Men than that. I think.
Gabby.
As we know, Professor X is that he can let him control minds, and that's kind of what Athena is doing. And there is one scene in the movie where he basically takes people of all mutations and he begins to kill them. And I feel like that's kind of similar to what Athena's doing. She's making them go insane, just like Professor X was using his machines. So she's using her godlike power, and he's using his mutation power mixed with his supercomputer, and they're both driving people insane to eventually Athena's ending the world as the suitors know it, and Professor X is ending the world as the mutations know it. So
I like all the comparisons between superheroes and stuff, but can we please just go back?
I have a question. He's tripping on acid? Alright, he's tripping on acid.
Hey, Brady.
How?
Brady, are you gonna talk?
I'm gonna talk. No, I'm actually gonna ask.
Yeah.
Okay, so how is Athena making the suitors go insane, killing them? Because Odysseus is the one who comes back and kills them personally. What does them going insane have to do with
okay, when someone laughs at you, if you don't want to make them laugh, that's going to piss you off. Because if someone and the suitor,
Brady, look at me.
she doesn't.
No, stop.
He's trying to keep his cool. He's trying not to show that it's actually him, and the suitors are just laughing at him. They're disrespecting him. They're making fun of him and his son. So just by laughing at them, it's just going to make him even more. And Athena's always trying to test him. So right now, she's just trying to push him to the ends of his patience, just to see when.
You and Conrad both, hold on. You and Conrad both said that it wasn't a happy laugh, like they're laughing at someone. It was a creepy laugh, like they're about to die. How is that pissing Odysseus
I think
off?
for the suitors, it was a happy dance, or it was a happy laugh. For the suitors, it was a very happy laugh. It was overly happy, and for everyone else that was watching it, it was creepy. But for the suitors, yes, it's happy. So.
I also want to agree with evidence. So it says that now all the suitors trading their snide glances, so they're still like laughing and being weird. They started heckling Telemachus, making a mockery of his guests. One or another brash young Galate scoffed. Telemachus, no one's more unlucky with his guests. Look what your man dragged in, this mangy tramp, scraping for bread and wine, not fit for good hard work. So they're essentially heckling Telemachus and heckling Odysseus, and this is just more tests. Athena's just piling on all these tests, leading up to when Odysseus and Telemachus are eventually just going to kill them all.
Sarah needs to butt in?
Yeah, but you had your hand if you want.
I did not.
Oh.
But Sarah will.
Sarah, go.
Like, I don't know. I did have an idea, like, for going back on the superhero thing. I don't know, but like, I'm not gonna go back on the superhero.
Wait.
So yeah, it's like they were laughing and making a mockery of Telemachus and Odysseus, like Telemachus through the first part of the book, and Odysseus when he gets back, and I'm just thinking like you want to laugh? Oh, you can laugh with blood on the walls. You're about to die. Yay! So yeah, there you go.
I wanted to clarify that the blood on the walls, it wasn't like actually physically there. That the seer was like saying he's like having like a vision and saying there's blood on the walls and all this other stuff, but the blood wasn't physically there at that time.
Yeah.
I agree with what Brent just said, how it wasn't like actually there, and then how the thing was aimed at the seer. If you go on page 422, line 398, I think, they said, at that, they all broke out into peals of laughter aimed at the seer. And is that the line where they're like talking about the laughter? Or is there like another part? Because it said it, they start.
On page 421 at the very last.
Oh, so there's lots of laughter. Okay, so I think they're also trying to get at Telemachus, Odysseus, and the seer, because like his optimism and the happiness of him, and not trying to be like not trying to kill everyone. But I think that they're also aiming at him.
That's all we have to say about that.
Yeah. Okay, good time.